This podcast is brought to you by the Deluxe Edition Network. To find more great shows on our network, head over to theden.show.
Hold on, stop.
Welcome back to the Shit Show 2.0.
Okay, Boomer.
Damn millennials. Wow.
Did not know that. Even flirters who are obviously mentally ill.
You want to be my wife? Oh, this is going to go downhill real quick.
What is going on? And welcome to Take on the World. What the hell was that?
I'm sorry, I was like yawning, and I tried not to yawn in the opening.
Okay,
so we
all
look
right.
like retards.
We look like retards anyway.
So.
I am here with my friend, my man,
Johnny.
Johnny.
He still has to yawn, but I can't now because I messed it up.
I screwed up his yawn by starting. And Mike D. Again, Lexi is working, sadly. We miss her very much. So much I'm using her headphones.
What happened to your headphones?
I left them upstairs.
Oh.
We are here again.
It's Earl for this thing. It's squeaky.
We are newly inducted members into the Deluxe Edition Network.
Yes, sir.
As I said in the very beginning, the Deluxe Edition Network is a network of podcasts, various topics. They have a podcast of the month every month. This month it is highly judgmental. They do music and sports. You would enjoy that a lot. Check out theden.show.
I like the music reviews because I love all genres of music.
Yes, you do. And they do them honestly.
Highly anticipated.
They're not afraid to they don't pull punches.
And that's the way it should be.
It should be. And that's how we do beers. So, after you listen to them, come back and listen to our beer reviews or watch our beer reviews on YouTube. They are not on Anchor. So that's the den.show. Check that out. Deluxe Edition Network. And we're happy to be there. Happy to be part of it.
Yes, thank you.
So I didn't mention this. Oh, that one's chunky.
Is it?
Or is that ice coming off the glass?
No, the ice would have melted by now. It's chunky.
Yeah.
There wasn't that much ice in the glass.
Yeah. So I did mention this when we did our last one. When you were not here when we did the interview with R.A. Fisher authors, and their book that is coming out. Actually, by the time you listen to this, it'll probably be out. We did put a knife in the block as an homage to Johnny because Johnny was not here.
Thank you.
And we mentioned it on the podcast. We missed you greatly.
I think the last episode we did, I didn't even thought about it. I was like, there's no knife in the block. I was like,
there's got to be a knife in the block. That's got to be a thing from now on.
Like, there was no, that was the only one.
So we have
until we started it.
We have the quote TSA knife in the block.
Yes. TSA's favorite knife. I'm sorry, sir. We can't. What do you, honestly, if anybody works in TSA, I would love to know. Come on.
Send us an email at takeontheworld411@gmail.com.
There's got to be some kind of, you guys throw all the stuff away?
You know what they do? They auction it off. Because on that auction site, that high bid that I go on,
yeah,
you can get stuff that is auctioned off from local airports.
Okay.
Stuff that's seized.
But you think like in the, let's say our previous admin's era, where we were privy to first grabs, first dibs, you think they do that nowadays?
No.
See, that sucks. I'm sorry. I wanted some really old CB communication stuff from squad cars that they used in like the 80s. And their response to me asking about them, they were going to literally throw them in the burn pile or throw them out. And I said, can I have one of these? Well, if you want one, you're going to have to post it on the county website. And you have to go. I'm like, really? Who the fuck is going to miss this thing? I'm going to bastardize this. And just so I can mess around.
I'm making an EMP out of this.
Yeah, I don't get it. Everybody's so worried about lawsuits and hurting one another's feelings and being offended.
Dude, so, speaking of being offended, what's the guy, Burr? The comedian Burr? Bill Burr?
Yeah.
Did you ever see his Philly rant?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, that was freaking awesome.
Yeah, he's another one. But you know what? They're trying to silence him. And it's why?
Well, he was just on Joe Rogan. And you know who else is on Joe Rogan? Did you ever hear the bit from a comedian he worked at Sears Roebuck when he was young? Did you listen to that with me? And he basically called the hardware department about the Libya missile crisis.
That was Jim Brewer.
Jim Brewer, yeah. Jim Brewer was just on Joe Rogan too.
Yeah, and he had like the whole FBI and the cops were like, that was pretty funny, kid.
That was pretty funny, kid.
Nowadays, yeah, that wouldn't happen.
I'd love to know that story's true.
Well, you know, I think a lot of comedians who are successful, there's a lot of truth behind their story. That's their life story, and they make it like a comedic bit.
The best stuff comes from a story based in truth. Now you may embellish it a little bit to make it funny.
If you look at my life,
that is funny.
Like, like I could probably make, if I was wanted to be a serious comic and like legit do it. I'm not good at it, but I think I have enough material in my life to make it fun.
You don't know how many times I've thought about going to open mic night at a place and just telling jail stories, dude. Because no one will believe the shit that we saw. Everybody will think I'm joking.
But I think a lot of it is it's life experience.
Yeah.
And
working in a jail for 30 years, man, I got fucking stories. And you know, Marty, God rest his soul, when we used to get together for breakfast, we'd always repeat the same stories over and over.
Oh yeah.
Which is great because we all sit there and laugh about it. But then I also think not many people have the sense of humor we have. So we would just end up offending everybody.
Oh yeah. When I would go there, it was like we were like that rowdy table, and everybody would be looking at you like, oh, we're offended. Like, okay, you're gonna hear some F-bombs. You're gonna hear some.
Oh, you're gonna hear some F-bombs.
Explicit stuff. Maybe some sexual comments.
You may hear a couple gay jokes.
So we'll just take like going to like work on a daily basis. Like, if I didn't have such a thick skin, you know, I don't think if you don't have a thick skin, you're not gonna make it. Like by the time I get to work, punch in, and get to where I need to be, I've been insulted like
55 times
at least on either how fat I am or how I forgot to put my car in park. Or
well, that is kind of funny.
You know, just anything.
What I have said this. This has been my statement for the longest time, and I know other people use it, but I've been saying this for as long as I worked in a jail. If I had feelings, that would have hurt.
Right. I mean,
you can't,
like, honestly, like, you kind of wear it as a badge of honor at some things. Like, okay, that's because we'll do the same thing to other people.
Well, I have conversations with people who don't work in our environment, and they're like, "Well, I don't want to say anything to offend you." I'm like, "Dude, there is nothing that you can say that's going to offend me."
I don't talk to anybody outside of our circle about work.
I don't talk to them about work. I'm just saying you cannot offend me.
Right. Okay. Like, nobody gets it. Well, and then all what they want to hear is like I remember telling when I was married, I told my neighbor that I got into corrections. He's like, oh, and he just like mimicked like a billy club hitting his hand. He's like, oh, that's great. I'm like, that's not what we do.
No.
And maybe like 20 years ago, but that's not what we do.
20 years ago, I used a piece of rubber hose. It wasn't a billy club.
But yeah, nobody wants to hear that fucking shit. Nobody wants to hear our stories. That's what I think. So I don't tell anybody our stories. But you're right. You offend me, it's going to be hard.
Yeah. So I don't know if I ever told this story on this podcast. I think you've heard this story when I was playing poker tournaments. So I'm in this big room in a cigar club. So, it's like people smoking cigars everywhere. And every table had 8 players at it. You start with 8 players at every table.
This is up at the thing.
This was down in Bethlehem. So, not Cigars International. This was the Bethlehem Club when it was still open. And, I'm sitting there. Go ahead. Get it out, buddy.
There it goes.
So, we're sitting there and somebody at another table lit a cigarette. And this guy starts complaining about this cigarette smoke. Now we're only like 3 hands in. And I said, "Oh, you're going to make me feel bad. I was about to light up a cigar." And he goes, "Well, I've been known to throw things at people." Now, my close friend Scott was sitting at a table right next to us and he could hear everything that was going on. And I said, "Well, I've been known to punch people in the fucking mouth." And he laughed. And my buddy Scott just leaned back to him. He goes, "Dude, he ain't kidding." And like this guy was so flustered by this, he busted in like the next 2 hands. So we're sitting there. We're 7 players now. This guy was the first guy out of the entire tournament because I shook him so bad. The guy next to him, I wasn't paying attention. I was doing something. I was talking to someone. The guy taps me. He goes, "Hey, you're big." And I knew he meant, "Am I big? I'm big blind." I forgot to ante up. I just looked at him like, "Dude, you just call me fat." And he looks at me, no. I wasn't calling you fat. I'm like, "Relax, dude. I'm joking. I'm big blind. I get it." So I put it in, and he's like, "Whew." He goes, "I was worried for a second." So, when you got down to like 3 players at a table, they combined 2 tables to make it 7 players again, or 8 players again. So we got combined into a table, and he's sitting like 2 players away. He gets up, "Hey, you got to do that to someone else." So
now he's your friend.
Yeah, but that was a different guy. It wasn't the smoking guy. It was just a different guy, and this guy was pretty cool. We were joking around all night, so it became a joke every table we went to. So I made it to the last table. Everybody would go, "Hey, you're big." So, like I said, you can't offend me.
The only thing that really pisses me off is people that are disrespectful. And I haven't shared this with you yet, but I went to a said grocery store this weekend, and I'm wandering around.
Where's the said?
A
quote grocery store.
Yeah, a grocery store.
Not naming the store.
I don't want to say that.
Okay, there you go. 10-4. I'm with you now.
So I'm walking around and I'm just checking things out. That's my.
You like looking at food? It's cool.
My end of the week, I'm old.
You like looking at food?
I'll walk around a grocery store. Nobody bothers you. You got your shopping cart, so you can it's like a cane, but not really. So you can limp away, and then stock up on food. So and I get all my stuff, and I go. There's like four checkouts, and I probably need to allow on this one, but I go into the one checkout. The guy's, "We're closed. We're closed. We're closed." Something to that effect. And I looked up and I threw my hand up like that. I'm like, "I'm sorry." Like real sarcastic. He goes, "Oh, it's okay, sir." And that had me so tight the rest of the night. I was so mad. Just the way that he said that. Like you couldn't say, "Excuse me, sir. I'm sorry, this lane is closed. You have to go over there." He started yelling at me.
Now, you know me. I always try to look at someone else's opinion, and I'm very understanding of people who are like that.
Sure,
because that's me. But you don't know how many people stepped in that line after he closed the line.
I want to tell you, it was me.
It was just you. Okay.
And the store wasn't that busy, but you don't have to come off that way.
Yeah, don't be a dick.
And then I was like, "What? Where is so important you have to?" What I wanted to say was well, guess what? No, you're not. Open your fucking register back up. You're back online, and you're gonna check out the rest of these motherfuckers in the store. And then when you're done, you collect all the carts out of here and close the fucking store.
And then I dropped the deuce in the shitter.
Yeah. But so I had to I have this struggle where I gotta be a normal citizen and be like, "Oh, I'm sorry." But what it made me feel like is you're a dummy Like, don't come into my fucking store.
It took all that to tell you, hey, I'm close.
Yeah, like, you can't just, like, if he, like, Mike, I'm not kidding. Like, he like, it wasn't exactly like that, but he's like, I'm closer. Ah! And I'm like
he kept coming at him.
I'm like,
put the gun down. Put the gun down.
Yeah, I'm like, I just got off work, and I've had a long day, and I'm wandering around your store buying your fucking products to support your paycheck. So the least you could do is show me a little bit of respect. And it ate on me all night, man. I was bitching to everybody about it, and then I was like, maybe there's something wrong with me. I'm like, nah, I don't go around.
No, he didn't. Like, it could have just been, hey, I'm close. Can you pick another route?
Like, what is so important? Where do you have to go? Like, I remember my time in not service, like
retail.
But customer service, retail, and you try and be accommodating. Like, the customer is, what did they always say?
The customer's always right.
Always right, yeah. So even if you were closed, you're like, all right, come on, I'll take you. Like, I'll skip my break.
But I went to one of the local home improvement stores, not a depot, and I went to customer service. I was buying a chest freezer, and I was using my store card to buy the chest freezer because I got a discount, like an extra 15% off. Use a store card. We pay at the end of the month. No big deal. So I go up to customer service and buy this, and he runs my card, and he says, declined. Next.
No.
I'm like,
no.
I said, well, I haven't used the card for a while. Maybe if you call them, it was just, put on hold. We don't do that. I said, this is the customer service desk, right? Like, if I have problems with...
Oh, dude, I would be fucking...
And now this kid...
livid.
Right before I came up, this kid was on the phone, and he just slammed the phone down. Like, so he's already pissed off. He's in a bad mood. I get it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to be as accommodating as I personally can be.
Patient?
Well, I'm not very patient, but yes, I was being as patient as I could be. So I'm like, I said, well, what do I do? I don't know. Next. I'm like, dude, can you please help me? Maybe your manager would come out and give me a hand. I was trying to...
I know for a fact this did not go out.
That's exactly how it went.
That's exactly how you acted?
Yes.
Excuse me, sir.
I took a big breath. I'm telling you, I took a big breath. And I said, maybe your manager can help. Well, get out of line so I can help the next person. I'm like, you know what, motherfucker?
I am the next person.
I said, if you don't want to fucking work here, if you don't want to deal with people, don't come to fucking work, but don't take it out on me. I said, you already fucking slammed the phone down on somebody, and then you're going to come and you're going to snap at me? Don't be a fucking dick. And then the manager came over. And he goes, the manager's like, how can I help you? And I said, all I'm trying to do is buy this freezer. I haven't used this account for a while. It might have been closed. Is there any way you can call? Well, let me call right now. She gets on the phone, calls him, and keys it back up. The kid didn't want to do his fucking job.
Right. If you could take an extra 5 minutes to help somebody out.
If he had said, hey, I got about 5 people in line. Let me help a couple of those people, and then I'll make that call. Okay. All right.
I wouldn't even do that. I'd be saying,
I would.
Stand by. Let me make this call. Let me help you out. Because ultimately, you're the customer. You're buying product to help support my lifestyle.
So
it doesn't work. You don't insult your customer, and that's the whole thing how I felt.
But nobody paid attention, so I said, "Yo, motherfucker, if you don't want to be here, don't come to fucking work, but don't take it out on me."
Yeah. Oh, I'm just a dummy trying to buy your shit to give you a pay. I'm giving you money.
Yeah.
I'm giving you money. That's what it comes down to.
You got me all fucking keyed up, bro.
Yeah, dude, I was keyed up like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Dude,
I get it.
I was ready to.
I don't think someone should forgo their break, but he could have approached it different. There's a different approach.
I thought it was like
I'm not.
He yelled at me like I was because the way I dress, he yelled at me like I was a dummy, and I'm not a dummy, bro. Like, I'm not gonna say what I do, but like, you work at a fucking grocery store as a cashier. I'm not gonna put that down because good on you, you work, but don't treat your other fucking
fellow human beings like
dummies, like they don't know what they're fucking doing. Like, I got a cart full of shit. Okay, I don't know your protocols. My first time in your store. I don't know that a red flashing light or a red solid light means no go.
It might mean that they need a manager.
I didn't even see the light. There was like 2 people working. But
Well, that's like you go to frickin' Wally World now and they got 1 lane open.
yeah, I try and avoid that place like the plague. You know, is there? Can I get that stuff from other places? Most likely.
Are you going to Shelves of Bear anymore?
I find Amish country. You can get a lot of your stuff out there too.
Down at where Pajaski goes.
No, I've never been there, but
I've been there. That's a nice store, but they don't have the same shit all the time.
Yeah, it changes a lot. But no, like yeah, you go into like any Amish like out near Lancaster, and they're supplied a lot better than we are.
Well, that's a little far from me. You're a lot closer to Lancaster than I am. Anywho, so
yeah, no, this fucking disrespectful culture.
I just want to smack somebody.
And I don't think it has to do with generational thing. It's like because this kid looked like he was maybe in his 20s, and honestly, I wanted to just walk up to him and smack him in the face. Like first off, drop the fucking attitude.
Oh, I feel like that almost every day. I feel like smacking somebody.
Like I did nothing to you to like why the fuck can't you just use your words like a normal person? And I harken back to what I used, me being in the industry and just being a polite person. I'm sorry. I'm closed. You're going to have to back your shit up and go like, yeah, like barking at me. Like, what the fuck? So immediately I went in there, relaxed. I came out, my blood pressure was through the roof. I wanted to fucking stab somebody.
Your blood pressure might be through the roof from walking, too.
No. I stopped taking my meds, too.
Good for you.
Yeah. Just get a second opinion.
Maybe you need to.
Anyways, let's probably cut the last 30 minutes of that out.
Nope, not cutting it. Not cutting shit.
Oh, you cut shit.
Yeah, I do cut shit because you go overboard sometimes.
I know. Just take on the world, Mike. It's called take on the world, not be submissive bitches.
So our topic today, John, and you brought this up to me.
Yeah, this was I never heard of this guy.
Well, when I was researching it, again, you brought up a topic that I was not sure of. And
I love that. I honestly, I love bringing up a topic that you never heard of because...
But once I started looking into it, I know these movies.
Right.
I never really put him in as the director.
Or
producer.
The backstory. The weird-ass backstory.
Didn't know the backstory either.
And I only found that from watching my murder documentaries in my bat cave every night.
And you may have insight into this that I don't have in my research.
Well, we'll see. I'm sure I'll jump ahead a few times.
Oh, I love when you jump ahead.
But the only image or knowledge that I have is what I saw in this
the fuck's that crazy dog barking at?
Probably a goddamn fish and chips.
No, she came down. She's here. It's here. Food's here. She came down and showed me that she walked down here and stood right there.
Where was I?
You were off in fucking tangent land.
Well,
you
want to go eat?
No, I want to finish this.
It's going to be a while. Your shit's going to get cold.
Yeah, I have a air fryer, bro.
I'm just saying.
Air fry. Are you hungry?
Not really.
Okay, then finish.
Let's do it.
Let's get into the topic, bro. It's you.
Oh.
It's all you.
Wait, where's the beginning?
That's it.
The beginning? No, the whole...
We did that. We did that like 25 minutes ago, bro.
Dude,
we did that, then you started bitching about a cashier being disrespectful. Okay. Let me start then.
Go ahead, yeah, read first.
Okay. This is about Al Adamson.
And a barking dog.
And a barking dog. Al Adamson was the king of 60s and 70s B movies, the grindhouse movies, just pumping those movies out. The genre was like horror and biker films, biker flicks. Al Adamson was the son of silent film actor and director Denver Dixon, that was his screen name, and Dolores Booth. Beginning in the 60s, his first movie was Halfway to Hell. It was a movie about a runaway woman, American cutthroats, kidnapping, bullwhip duels, and unreturned love. He goes on to be a mastermind of many horror and exploitation films, like Psycho A Go-Go, A Bloody Ghastly Horror, Satan's Sadist, which I've seen, Dracula versus Frankenstein, which I've seen. Unfortunately, he met the same end as he directed in most of his movies. He was murdered in a ghastly manner.
No, I'll say this too. Just one thing I do remember is that I think his mother and father were both prominent actors in Hollywood.
Yeah, silent film actors.
And he just never had the act for it, but he had the knack for being a director.
And producer, yes.
Producer.
Yeah.
And he was really, really good at it. So in 1975, interested in his chosen genre.
Sorry.
I know how to read, Michael.
Are you sure?
Sometimes. Biker films, I'm sorry. Now you fucked me up. I'm going to start this over.
I'm gonna.
In 1975, interested in his chosen genre, biker films began to fizzle out, and he was approached by Sam Sherman. You've really got to learn the use of the comma. You've got comma-itis.
No.
When I went through school,
let me read it for you.
You've got comma-itis.
Let me read it for you. In 1975, interested in his chosen genre, biker films, began to fizzle out.
That's what I just said.
That's not how you said it. In 1975, his chosen genre, biker films, began to fizzle out.
It was that. I read it just like, you've got comma-itis, and you deny it. Anyways, he was approached by Sam Sherman, a fellow producer and writer, about doing softcore porn movies to cash in on them popular stewardesses' craze.
Yeah, you don't remember this, but like at that, like,
is that like some kind of airplane porn?
In the 60s, hold on. In the 60s, the big thing was biker gangs, stuff like that.
Angels.
Yeah, going into the 70s, the big thing was stewardesses. Like, you remember the movie Catch Me If You Can?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how predominant stewardesses and pilots were in that movie.
Oh yeah.
But that's what the early 70s was about. Like, it was if you went on a plane, the stewardesses dressed to the nines. They were prim, proper.
Then it turned into a porn.
And it turned into a porn. So
pumping out the naughty stewardesses and blazing stewardesses in the same year. Is that the name of the movie?
The name of the movie is The Naughty Stewardesses, and the Blazing Stewardesses was made.
Okay.
And he made both of those movies in under a year.
Okay. Adamson and Sherman also made the 1974 film, Girls for Rent, a.k.a. Spit on Your Corpse, which is not to be misinterpreted for or mistaken for Spit
on Your Grave.
On Your Grave.
Right.
Which would be an A movie? Is that what they call it? Like, he's the B-split.
Yeah, Spit on Your Grave is a horror movie.
It's not that popular, but
it's not that popular.
It pops up in shit.
It was a higher budget film. What he did was low budget horror movies, and then transferred into softcore porn.
Right. This would probably be the genre of low budget horror and porn that would probably inspire bands like the Misfits.
Right. Well,
Ramones.
This movie here was what they considered horror porn.
Right.
So, and he was basically, like, at this point in his career, he was ashamed of making these movies. Like, he felt that this was like a low point in the association with Sherman. This movie featured porn actress Georgiana Splevin. She was raping, then killing a mentally disabled man in one scene. And he's like, this is like really beneath me to make this movie. Like,
But I'm going to go ahead with it because I'm getting paid.
Yeah, I'm getting paid.
Adamson also did a film called Jesse's Girls that was his take on then successful Henny Calder.
Yeah, that was a 1971 Western starring Raquel Welch, Robert Culp, and Ernest Borgnine. So he saw this big name movie, and he was like, man, I think I could do that, but different. So he made Jesse's Girls.
Okay. 78, Adamson made his last major film, Nurse Sherry, which was the movie that put him back to his horror roots.
So he got away from the softcore porn. And I think Jesse's Girls was away from that too, but Jesse's Girl, or Henny Calder was a Western horror.
It's so weird.
Like, it was a crossover film, and it was, I don't know, but so he did Nurse Sherry that put him back to the roots where he belonged, back to the grindhouse type film.
He was loosely involved in the films industry, but by the early 80s, he was largely retired from the industry. Post-film career, he was now married to longtime movie star Regina Carroll, which was in his first, like, zombie movie or whatever.
So, and that's Johnny Jump Ahead is right there.
God dang.
So,
There I go again.
he met Regina while he was cast in 1970 film Satan Sadist. Now, it's not his first horror movie, but it's one of the more popular ones. Satan Sadist, like, if you...
I think it was, you said it was hers? I think it was hers.
She was cast... No, she worked at a restaurant. She worked at a diner.
Right, but that was her first movie.
Oh, her first movie, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, she worked in a diner.
And he was totally, from what I understand, he was totally head over heels.
Yeah. So, they're in a diner. She spills coffee on him to get his attention. And that turns into her casting for this movie, or coming to the casting call for this movie, and he ends up casting her in a starring role in Satan Sadist. So yeah, she heard he was a movie director and spilled the coffee on him.
Is that where you are? She ended up dying in 1992 of cancer at age 49. Adamson, who spent several years trying desperately to save her from the disease, but in the end, cancer won as it does so many times.
Yeah, he did everything in his power to save her. Like, he was head over heels in love with her, and he was devastated by her death. And after that, like, when he retired from the movie industry, he went into real estate. And after that, he just spent most of his time alone at some of the properties he owned in Nevada, Texas, and California.
Yeah, that was from what I understand. He did become somewhat of a recluse.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's probably the reason why it took so long to find that he was missing.
Now, I know, correct me if I'm wrong, but
You're wrong.
he, after his wife died, he did marry again.
No.
He married another movie actress. You might want to look that up.
This afternoon.
I'm pretty sure, as my fucked up memory serves me, that he married again.
I think you're wrong. I don't have it up anymore. Well, 3 years after she died, he was murdered. He was alone at the time when he was murdered.
Yes, but he did find another. Whatever his first wife died, he found another wife. I'm positive.
I agree to disagree.
Okay. But that's besides the point. We'll go into what the ultimate scheme is.
Good.
Al was seen on June 20th, 1995, while living in his California home. On June 21st, one of Al's brothers went to see him, but when found him not at home, left. He was not concerned until 5 weeks passed without a word from Al. On July 26th, he reported his brother missing. It then became clear no one had heard from him.
Like nobody, like there were people, like he still dabbled in stuff in the film industry. So every once in a while, someone tried to get a hold of him for this or that, and nobody, absolutely nobody heard from him. None of his real estate clients, nobody.
Right.
And that's when his brother was like, "There's something wrong here." But his house was like an isolated house. It was still under construction. And after the police questioned the family, they moved on to people who had access to the home and the workers who worked on the property. There was a room in the house that used to house Al's prized jacuzzi hot tub. And Al's brother said he would never remove that hot tub. Like he loved that hot tub. Like that was his man cave. So he said it would never be removed. But when they went to the house, the hot tub was gone. So the police and the forensic team removed the flooring and found his partially decomposed body under 4 tons of cement. The body was nude and it was wrapped in linens like a mummy, and his skull was smashed. So apparently, whoever killed him pulled up the floor, laid him in there, wrapped him up, stripped him naked. Why? I don't know. Can only assume. And wrapped him up like a mummy, and then poured concrete on top of him. So that would limit the suspect pool, I would think.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Like people who had access to that home were the only ones who would do it. And like, how do you pour that much concrete? And like, you think a cement truck would come, or that's 4 tons of concrete. Like you're not mixing 4 tons of concrete by hand. Maybe you are. I don't know.
4 tons? Is it really that much?
If you're putting it in, even in a mixer, you're putting maybe
From the, I don't know, honestly, the photos that I saw, it didn't really seem like it was that deep of a grave, and it was pretty shallow and shittily done. So I'm thinking a couple bags of concrete, and it was very obvious that, like,
bag of concrete that goes far.
I said a couple bags of concrete.
I'm just saying, like, doesn't go very far.
No, it doesn't. And that's why it was unearthed. Like, hey, what was here? Well, there used to be a jacuzzi here. Well, that doesn't look like a jacuzzi. It looks like a chopped up piece of floor.
So the police keyed in on Fred Fulford, who was the live-in contractor. Some websites say he just did small jobs around the area. This site that I was on said he was the live-in contractor. I don't know how extensive it was, like the kind of work that he did. But apparently, just after recovering the body, they arrested this guy. And he was arrested and taken into custody at Coral Reef Hotel in St. Petersburg, Florida. California to Florida. Mid-August 1995. Like, that's, like, what are you doing all the way out there? Because he was heavily involved with Adamson.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the two of them had a deal to flip this house. Fred would do the work and Al would pay for all the bills. And then when they sold the house, they would split the profits. Kind of, a standard type thing. But as it turned out, Fred was, he had access to a credit card that was Al's, and that's what he used to buy the stuff. But he was overspending and abusing the finances which led to several heated arguments between the two that were witnessed by other people. So after he was arrested, he was interrogated, and he said he knew nothing about Al's death. He just assumed that he was on vacation. He also said he wasn't fleeing, that he planned to return to California to complete the reconstruction, but every shred of evidence suggested otherwise. He had forged Adamson's signature on checks and other official documents over the weeks following his disappearance. So that he's missing for 5 weeks, and this dude's still spending his money. Nobody's heard from him. This guy hasn't heard from him, and he takes off to Florida. He moved everything he had to Florida, and he had Al's car shipped there to Florida and sold them. He insisted that the vehicles were given to him by Al, but they were all the titles were still in Al's name. Like, that is fishy as shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, how would you look any further?
So if you turned up missing, and next week I was in California with your Jeep selling it,
you're not getting much money for it.
Well, I know it doesn't shift into park all the time.
By itself. Well, let me back up here, because there's a couple things that from whatever the fuck I watched was left out of here. You can find, but I guess Al would occasionally go on vacation on his movie shoots, and he would leave, or he would get paid, or somehow.
What is that dog doing? Go ahead.
Somehow there'd be money left on the countertop, and Al would come in, see it, wouldn't think nothing of it, come back later, and it was missing. What the fuck? It was like $5,000 on the countertop here. Where the fuck did it go? Or checks. The contractor actually put a lock on Al's mailbox and installed a separate mailbox next to his. And then this was all done when he was gone. He came back and said, what the fuck is there? Fucking lock on my mailbox.
I didn't hear any of this.
Oh, yeah. It gets weird. And he confided in his brother, like, dude, this guy's acting weird. And, like, he was just like that weird contractor that he hired. And he just assumed Al's role. Like, if, I'm going to take your money. You're not here. I'm going to do my other. He tried selling his house when he was gone. He, like, put it up for auction or whatever. Auction. He was trying to sell it. And the housemaid, who was a Mexican lady that Al also hired, came by and she said, where's Al? He's like, well, he left. She's like, no. Something's wrong. Why is there a lock on the mailbox? You shouldn't be here. You're shady. And she ultimately, like, ratted him out. And
wow, I didn't hear any of it.
Oh, yeah.
But that documentary when I was researching this, I have a friend who's, like, really a huge film buff, Kevin.
Yeah.
And so I texted him, like, hey, what can you tell me about this murder? He said that he watched a documentary that's on Tubi, and he sent me the name of the documentary. I'm going to watch it.
That might have been what I watched, but, like, for the most part, this guy just, like, infiltrated him, gained his trust. Al trusted him when he was off doing his thing, and he just used him, tried, literally, like, redid the drywall and everything in his house, not asking him if that's what he wanted, tried to sell his house after he died, after he killed him and buried him.
Jeez.
And from what I understand, like, it was a shitty job. Like, it was pretty obvious that the jacuzzi was disturbed, and it wasn't.
So he put the con in contractor.
Yeah. Like a scumbag. What we had here? Oh, here was this Fulford. There's something else to it. Maybe in the future here. He was put on trial. Fulford was put on trial in late 1999. More than 4 years later, it was alleged by the prosecution that Fulford and Adamson fought over money. Fulford, in anger and greed, hit him over the head with a large heavy object and buried him to continue benefiting from his name, which I totally believe. He confessed to forgery, perjury, and abusing Al's money and trust while being cross-examined. But always denied killing him. He maintained he was framed despite the evidence that was against him. The trial lasted 6 weeks, and it took the jury only 2 hours to come back guilty of murder in November 1999. In March 2000, he was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison and is today serving at the California Health Care Facility in Stockton, California, where he was eligible for parole in 2016 but was denied. June 3rd, 2021 was denied again for 3 years, and he will be eligible for parole hearing again in June of 2024. Yeah, there was something weird, like, you gotta watch the documentary. There was something weird, like, when he went in the courthouse, too. He did something that, Fulford did something really weird. And it goes to show you, like, the American justice system, you have to have everything, all your T's crossed and your I's dotted before you can convict somebody. You can't just say, like, well, it's obvious, like, you fucking moved to California, you got all his cars, or you moved down to Florida, you got all his cars with his pink slips and a bunch of checks signed, obviously not by him, but in your handwriting. You would think that, like, automatically that you're guilty.
Yeah.
But no, being the American system, we have to prove that without a reasonable doubt, or beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it, because you don't want to send an innocent person to jail, but I think too many people that are guilty get off.
Yeah,
because of the way the system's set up, and I guess it's the best system you can have, because if you were in Russia, they would just throw you in jail. You wouldn't even get a trial.
Yeah, for sure. Or China.
Or Iraq, they would just cut your head off, and that's it.
Yeah, the only way out is to latch yourself to the side of a C-130.
Oh, Jesus. Let's go, Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, this is a sleeper. I mean, like, not many people, like, you're from the horror genre. You've seen these movies, but you don't really know that much about the
Yeah, I didn't know the director, producer. I didn't know the backstory. It's weird. Like, and for him to die in a manner that normally his movies would dictate,
yeah,
is.
I think they in the documentary that I watched, they depicted the contractors bludgeoning him with a hammer, and then he buried him under his long-loved hot tub. That's so fucked up, dude. What the hell was that dog doing?
Anywho, yeah, not a long one, but it was interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I didn't, like I said, I love researching stuff I don't know about. And you pulled this one, like, hey, remember that horror producer? And I'm like, no. And then I wrote the name down and I looked it up, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like, Dracula versus Frankenstein, Satan Sadist, I know those movies. And he did a shit ton of movies, too.
Yeah. Well, the contractor doing, like, the utmost, like, weird, like, he would just show up, and, like, Al and his brother were supposed to go out to lunch, and the guy would, like, show up. And his brother was like, who's this guy? And he's like, oh, he's my contractor, he's a real good guy. And his brother was, like, real leery. And then he would start changing things in the house without Al's approval. He's like, hey, I never asked you to tile this wall. He's like, well, I thought it would look better. So they did say that, like, the guy who killed him was, like, trying to live vicariously through his life.
Yeah.
Which is another way, like, he stole his money.
Yep.
He stole his lifestyle. He was using his cars, his credit card.
So this is his list of credits, or some of them were even uncredited. Like, Halfway to Hell, he was uncredited in that movie. And then you get to the top here, as late as 2020, he was doing, he had some part in the movie. He was a segmented director. So I guess portion of this is part of the work that he did back in the day was put in this movie.
Yeah.
And the same thing with this. So there's 2 movies credited here that at some point some of his work is in.
Yeah, it's some of his idea.
Yeah. But I'm trying to look down this list, see if there's anything else that I know. Dr. Dracula. I don't know if that's the one I saw, Uncle Tom's Cabin, but there's Blazing Stewardesses. There's a Bedroom Stewardesses in 78, but he's uncredited in that. So they may have used clips from the other movie as part of that one.
Yeah, these would be all B movies, so.
Reign of Blood. Horror of the Blood Monsters. Hell's Bloody Devils. Like, they're all B movies. They're Grindhouse movies. He gets acting credits here, too. Well, they must have all been cameos. They're all uncredited. Except for that one.
There you have it.
There you have it. So that's Al Adamson, born 1929, died 1995. Murdered in his own house.
For greed.
For greed and money. So, we took on Al Adamson. And now you go take on the world.
Our podcasts exist because of listeners like you. To find other great shows, head over to theden.show. Thanks for listening.
Hold on, stop.
Welcome back to the Shit Show 2.0.
Okay, Boomer.
Damn millennials. Wow.
Did not know that. Even flirters who are obviously mentally ill.
You want to be my wife?
Oh, this is gonna go downhill real quick.